Hey guys! So today we are going to be doing this skull makeup tutorial on my friend Christina. I know this is going to be a little bit different, but I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so we're going to start off by blocking the brows with our Elmer's glue stick. So you want to push it up and then use a spoolie to push it up and lay it down. We're going to do this about 2 times just so that it can stay. Pushing it up, getting all the excess out the way. Now I'm going to be taking my translucent powder by Ciate London. It has no color, so it's really good. Just pack that on, and I'm using a dry beauty sponge. This beauty sponge is by The Real Techniques. Then I'm using a fluffy brush to kind of dust everything off. Then I'm going to take my Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer in the shade Mahogany. It has a little bit of an orange tint, so I thought it would be good. When you want to block off brows, it is better to use more of an oranger tint. But I just didn't have that, so we're using this. Sue me. And then I'm using that same beauty sponge dry to pack that on, and using some more translucent powder. I didn't want it to be like completely covered, so I didn't put too much concealer, but I still wanted it to be a little bit covered more than the usual. Now I'm just using that same brush to dust off the excess, and I'm going to use my CeraVe micellar water to just clean up everything with a cotton swab. Just make sure you not clean off the brows, because that would defeat the purpose. Now I'm going in with the Professional Primer by Benefit. This is really good for body paint, like a good primer for body paint. It just really blurs it out and makes it really nice. I've noticed that. Now I'm using my Billion Dollar Brows Duo Concealer and Lighter stick to basically draw the outline of how I basically want the skull to look. You can use any type of white pencil or anything like that to carve it out. I never use this, so I just figured I'll just, use that to kind of carve everything out. Now you want to fill around the bone to see the kind of structure you want to give, and then just draw everything out. This was like, you don't have to make it perfect. Do what you can, honey. I am no artist. So this is, this is actually my first time doing a skull. Now I'm taking my Graftobia Pro Paint in the shade Snow Swan, and I'm taking a paintbrush that I got from Michaels to kind of just pack that on. And you want to be careful around the nose, because I did make a mistake I accidentally put the white base over the lines, but it's easy to fix. I'm just gonna go back in and fix it later. You're gonna see later on. You could just go over the whole face, but with my look, I wanted it to be different colors. So that's why I outlined it the way I did, and that's why I'm painting it the way I am. And I'm also going to be doing this. I think I went over it 3 times. Yeah, I went over it 3 times, just carving out everything. And just I'm gonna pull it down to the neck a little bit. Later on, I'm gonna actually do the neck, so you don't really have to go all the way. And I also didn't want to put too much on the ears because you see that afro in the background. That's what we're going to be using. So I went back with that translucent powder from Ciate London to kind of pack that on so everything stays. And I'm just using that same fluffy brush to dust off everything. Now I am going in with the Pro Paint by Graftobia in the shade Catalina Blue. And I'm using a smaller paintbrush. I got this also from Michael's to basically draw those outer skull shades from the side of the heads. And I believe I went in twice with this shade. So that's the first coat. I'm using a hair dryer. This one is red by Kiss. It's the Detangler 2000 ceramic. You can use any hair dryer you have. It doesn't have to be specific because you want to dry it before you add your second coat so it can be as opaque as possible. You want to dry everything out. And this is honestly the fastest way that I found to drying paints. Now I'm going with the Pro Paint by Graftobia in Crimson Red. All the paints that I'm going to be using today is by Graftobia. That's just the paints that I have. You can literally use any body paint that you have. As long as the technique is the same, honestly, you'd be good to go. And honestly, I don't even know why I drew those lines because I'm covering it up anyways. Honestly, like I said, this was my first time doing a skull. So I was just kind of playing around with everything. So yeah. And I know this video is a little bit different from what I usually do because I have a model. It was really hard to film because, you know, I wouldn't want like my hands to be in the camera or even me. Let me know in the comments below if you guys like this style and you want more of me doing makeup on other people as well. So this is the second coat. Like I said, you want to dry the first coat out first before adding another coat. Now I'm using the MAC paint pot to prime her eyelids, just so the shadows can stay. And then I'm using the same Graftobian paint, but in the shade Raven Black, to outline my eye sockets. Now I'm going in with my Crayon Case Box of Crayon palette in the shade Red and using a fluffy blending brush to kind of blend that all over the lids. Just keep on blending. Same thing you do on that side, you do on the other side. Now that little tool right there, that is literally from the Crayon Case. It's a brush cleaner. And then I'm taking my ABH times Norvina collection volume 2 in the shade C5 to blend that in the crease. Then I'm going back in with that Raven Black by Graftobian to just shade the rest of the blank spaces in. Now this has become one of my favorite new palettes. It is Black owned. It's by Yolanda, Makeup by Yolanda times Beats by Deb. It's called the Beatdownpalette, Black owned. Support the girls. I will leave everything down in description of everything that I'm using. So I use the black shade in there called Black owned. Then I went back in with Summer Nights, which is like the purpley color, to kind of blend those two, marry those two together, just so it's nice and blended, you know. Blend, blend, blend. Same thing you do on this side, you want to do on the other side. Now I'm taking my finger, I grab the shade Go Getter on the lids, just to spice it up, you know. And I felt like it was a little too dull, so I'm going to grab my ABH Norvina palette in the shade C1. It's kind of like a gold shimmery color, and just pack that on top so it's like a nice punch. And a little bit romantic. And this is how it's looking so far. Now I'm going in with the Beats by Deb eyeliner gel in the shade BLM, aka Black Lives Matter. You know, okay. And just taking like a pencil brush. You want to wet these things first with some water, and then swirl your brush in, and then put it over. And the same with the paints as well. They're water activated, so you just spray some water and swirl your brush in. Now I'm packing that black shade Beats by Deb palette to pack on and set that liner. Now I'm going in with my black paint by Graftobian and just taking like a small pencil brush and just carving that out. You see what I said? I made a mistake by painting over the drawings. Then I made this too big, but it's easily fixable. I'm gonna go back in with white paint later on, you're gonna see. Taking that same black shade from the Beatdown palette and just packing on the paint so that it can be set. I'm using a flat brush. In my crayon case palette and in the shade Deep Plum, and I'm taking like a flat brush. Well, it's not a flat brush, it's more like a small blending brush to kind of start carving out where my teeth will be going. By the way, guys, I'm going to have a timesheet in my description box, so if you just want to see what I'm doing for certain areas, you can just click on this timestamp to learn how to do that. And I'm just doing shading with the same Deep Plum color, making the furry brows, and then just smudging out the sides to smoke it out. It's all about shading to bring this look together, honestly. And I apologize if certain clips you can't really see because my hand is blocking it. I will get better, honey. Until then, sue me. Just carving all of that out, taking that same palette and taking that black shade and like a really detailed small brush to kind of just outline where I'm going to be putting the teeth. I draw a line on top, a line on the bottom. And do the same with the sides. And then I'm taking the paint, the black paint by Graftobia, to kind of fill that in. And I'm kind of making like a Y shape at the top. Zoomed in so you can see. Now I'm taking that same white paint by Graftobia, the White Swan, taking like a concealer brush, and just to create the teeth, you basically have to press down and drag. Press down and drag. If you're doing down, press down, drag down. If you're doing up, press down and drag upwards. Then I'm taking that same gel liner by the Beats by Deb just to outline the teeth so it's more prominent. Guys, this is my first time doing this skull, so please bear with me. But it actually came out pretty good. I was shook. And you just wanna kind of just fill in the blanks. And then I'm taking the Deep Plum shade just to kind of shade out the edges. You're just bringing that top part up with the same Y shape, just so it's like nice and blended out and giving it a more dirty, grungy look. And I wasn't really too concerned with whether or not the teeth were white, only because I am going in with some gems later. And I'm taking that same deep plum shade to do some shading around the eyes, around the edges of the blue, with a fluffy blending brush. Just so you know, it looks nice and cohesive and blended and just looks more grungy, you know, because that really makes the look. I'm putting some up on my forehead or her forehead. Really too concerned with the ears. Like I said, we're gonna use the afro. Now I did do my lashes off camera. Those are the bonsubeautylashes in Burkina Faso. Now I'm taking the Beats by Deb gel black liner and a small liner brush to do the bottom lashes. Let me know if you guys like these type of tutorials. This was my first time doing it on someone else. Just let me know. Now I'm taking the Born This Way Better Than Sex mascara, and I took a disposable spoolie and just to, you know, make it sanitized, and just, you know, putting some mascara on the lashes above and below. Now this you can't see because my hand is totally blocking it, but I took the white face paint to carve out the edges of the nose because it just looks so big. That's what I was telling you, that I was gonna go back and fix it. This is me fixing it. I just went in with like a small brush, and then I'm using like I'm using the white eyeshadow from the James Charles palette to pack that on. Now it just looked a little too dirty for me, so I went in with the Beats by Deb gel liner, that white gel liner, kind of carved that out a little bit more so it's nice and cleaner. And I'm using that same white shade in the James Charles palette to pack that on so it's set on the white parts. I'm just dusting off everything. So these are the little sticker thingies that I was telling you about. They're basically just easy and ready to go. You just peel it and you stick it. They're already made for skull looks. I got it from my friend actually got it from Amazon. I'll leave where she got it in the description below. To all the products that I'm using today, a link will be down below. I will say that even though the stickers were sticky, I would suggest adding some lash glue or some type of sticky adhesive in addition to the stickiness, because it did kept coming off when we were doing our shoot. So just add a little bit of lash glue so that, you know, you're good to go. And you're just pressing that on. Ooh, she's looking cute so far. And with the nose, And then I put the lips, put it on the lips. Make sure you're pressing it down. This video is sped up, but I did press it down a little. I wish I added some lash glue so it stopped coming off, but you live and you learn, honey. You live and you learn. And you're kind of just sticking them on. This look came out so cute. I was even so shocked that I did that. That's how you know my skill is getting better. I definitely wouldn't have been able to do this look last year. Kind of just sticking the stickers on wherever I see fit. And that's how it's looking. Now, the last part is I'm gonna grab that white paint again to paint the neck area. At first I was just gonna leave the neck area like white based and probably just put a little bit of plum to shade it out. But then I was like, I'm gonna add a little bit of blood. So make sure you dry that before putting anything else on there. And taking that deep plum shade from the crayon case and just using a fluffy brush to kind of make the neck a little bit more grungy. And I'm taking that same shade but with like a small fluffy brush to outline where I want the blood to go. And then I took the black shade in that same palette, same brush, and just pack that on. Then I'm going to take the red shade in that same palette, same brush, to pack that on. Now I'm taking these graftobianbodypaint paste, stage blood, and blood gel to do the blood look. I took a brush, a paintbrush that I got from Michael's, and kind of just outlined where everything begins. Then I took the blood gel, which honestly, it's better to use the blood gel with your fingers than with that brush because, honey, it's real thick. Then I'm using stage blood to kind of just let that drip a little drizzle. I put some a little bit on the teeth, or the bottom teeth area, and let it drag, underneath the neck. So it just looks like it's like basically dragging towards the neck. And just make it a little bit messy, That's why I'm saying I use my hands to put that blood gel on because it's really thick. And yeah, this is how it's looking. And we just put this red wig, Afro wig. I got it from the beauty supply store, so I honestly couldn't tell you if you could find the same one. I left both of our Instagrams on the screen. Follow us, okay? And this is the final look. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. All right, bye. Happy Halloween.